Hello and welcome back to this edition of Daily Actives brought to you by Bootleg Macro. I am Dustin. We are looking at AMD. It has been a while, boys and girls, but I am back in the saddle and we are looking at AMD, which has continued to break out ever since the very end of October 2023. We can see on the side here, the top of the range has essentially been going higher. We've seen some breakdowns that have made us think that there have been bearish moments in AMD, but that has not been the case. Today, we've had a catalyst, which is humongous earnings. We will find out how the market proceeds to digest that. But if we look at the past 5 days, we're still up 2%. Over the past 15 days, we're up 17.7%. 1 month, we're down relative to the 15 days. We're only up 16.7%. But if you look at us over 3 months, over 6 months, over 1 year, we are very, very happy about the kind of outcomes that we've been seeing in AMD. Now, if we look specifically at the daily activity here, looking at the raw data, as I like to do, one of the things we'll see is that we're still positive on a 1 month. We're still positive on a 3 month, still positive on a 6 month. We're positive all the way across, essentially. If we stay above 170, and I mean, really right now, we're looking at staying above 160. Like, that's really the 20-day moving average. We're thinking about where the 5 day is. Yeah, it's at 177, so you're definitely below it now because you did have quite the fall today, but I'm not concerned. If anything you want to buy as you get closer to the middle of the range here, we've got to go long in the signal for the goat for the short term, intermediate, and longer term. We're still bullish on the short term, intermediate term, and longer term. We're looking here at the overall sentiment. We've got that rising bull, which has just come back at the very end of January. We're on the 30th. We've essentially had a very simple and straightforward plateau, but still very high in terms of the relative bullishness, probably around like 65%. If we look here at the trading signals, we do see that we have a coming falling bear. There's a little bit of concern to see with that. Specifically, if we look at where AMD is right now on the weekly chart, we can see we've obviously broken out above our highest high. We are potentially setting off into very uncharted waters here for AMD. So it wouldn't be surprising to see a pullback potentially. But the thing that I have to say that I like the most, no matter what, the volume looks fantastic, the volatility looks fantastic, the correlation looks fantastic, it's at the top of the range continues to break out. The top of the range continuing to break out shows that the underlying like derivatives, or at least the underlying math, is telling you that this thing wants to go higher. You could get some sideways action, right? You could get some fallbacks just because you're going to see high volatility. Because if we look back up here at the daily, you're seeing a breakout in the volatility. We're at the highest high volatility that we've seen going back 9 months or so. We're already up at 16, and we see the correlation here. That's the price correlation is continuing to rise with it. So you're going to see extreme volatility to the upside most likely until that stops. The concern that you'd have if you were thinking about this long term is that you've seen a big move on the weekly as well. Obviously, you've had a big breakout. The time to buy would have been around 2022. That would have been the goal. If more recently, it would have been the end of October of 2023. That would have been a great goal as well if you would have been able to support it. The run from 127 all the way down to 96. If you had that kind of patience, you're being rewarded. And this is a moment where you're going to be tested very much once again, similar to how you were in December of 2023, because this breakout is hitting the top of the range. The top of the range, even on the weekly, is continuing to scream higher. But we do know that at a certain point, very similar to what we saw here in 2021, this thing is going to start to round out. And when it starts to round out, you're not making new highs in the range. That's when you're going to get down to sideways action. Now, you can always get a reverse. You can see these kinds of things. Even though these aren't 20-day higher or 25 or 50-day highs in the top of the range, they are starting to show you that there may be a little bit of a change, especially after you've seen such a downward slope. But you just have to remember that when things are going up like this, eventually this range has to come back to itself. It's got to get closer, even if it wants to have another breakout. So you need to expect that there's going to be some consolidation. And the daily is showing that we've got some major price breakouts above 150. We could go for 200. I don't know if we're going to necessarily go there in a straight line. The top of the range would suggest that we have a good chance at it, but we'll want to see what happens over the next month. I think February is going to be very interesting for AMD, but January has set up to be a very, very good month. But tell me what you think in the comments below. Are you long? Are you short? Do you like it? Do you love it? Is this even a good review? And before you go, subscribe to the New High newsletter. We send you 25 stocks to your inbox every single Sunday. Stocks breaking out between $5 and $30. Stocks breaking out to 1 year highs, all-time highs. It is a great list to get your trading week started. Talk to you soon.